What's going on, everybody? We are back. It's a brand new episode of Liam Picks Fights, and today I have something very special to bring to you guys. It's not my normal show. We're not going to be sitting here breaking down the fights. I know we don't have the most inspiring offering this weekend for UFC Luque versus Muhammad, but what we do have is a very special guest, my man Blake Perry from Baldwin Wallace. I've known this man a long time, and he's a great individual, somebody that I had the pleasure to work with, one of the hardest workers I've ever met. And to watch Blake succeed in MMA from the sidelines has been a lot of fun. And so I knew that I had to bring Blake to my audience. I wanted to do that, and it's a pleasure to do so today. Blake, how are you, my brother? How you feeling?
Dude, I'm doing great. I'm pumped to be on the show and pumped to talk to you, man. It's been forever, so I really appreciate it, man. I'm glad to see you're doing well, also. So all good, man.
Absolutely. And I like to think of it as the Jacket Tough fight team, man. All these people that have broken off and started to get into the training side of things, whether that's Ben Huff. I know that we've got some other guys waiting in the wings. Joey Coplo got some skills, and he's on the team at BW now. And
Yeah,
yourself, man, leading the freaking charge, and excited to see you get to work and represent that Jacket Tough brand. And you've been doing a great job on the amateurs, my man. So I wanted to basically kick this over to you with the premise of, if somebody doesn't know who Blake Perry is, who is Blake Perry?
Well, first off, I'm wearing my James Ritchie shirt, so I got to throw it out to James too for fighting. Um, but yeah, man, grew up, born and raised in Northeast Ohio. Small little town, little farm town called Jefferson, probably an hour from Cleveland or so. Grew up there and obviously wrestled. There's not much to do else in the Midwest in the winter. So grew up wrestling, and then obviously met yourself and a bunch of other awesome people out at the Baldwin Wallace wrestling program, the college out there right in Cleveland as well. And yeah, man, from there I joined the Air Force actually, and got stationed in Hawaii for a little over 3 years, where I started fighting. So in terms of my MMA career, that was really where I started, man. I think my first 6 or 7 fights were all in Hawaii, under the fight team out there. So that was definitely an awesome opportunity, man. It's something I wouldn't trade for the world. And recently moved, or I guess actually it's been a little over a year now, but I moved to California, like northern, like the Bay Area of California. And yeah, man, been training out there. And my last 3 fights have been out in that part of the country. Yeah, man, just super happy to be where I'm at in life, and I'm surrounded by awesome people and getting to do some pretty freaking cool things, man. So I can't complain.
Absolutely, my man. Going from, making these fights on the amateur scene, now you're going to be making a professional debut. Obviously, you made a ton of progress in between. If I'm not mistaken, you even had a kickboxing match in the middle of everything as well, trying to work on the stand-up game a little bit. I know you come from that wrestling background. Is that something that you wanted to work on in particular? And is that how you ended up getting that opportunity? I know you ended up winning the split decision there. I thought you worked it, man. Put that body on him, put some weight on him, and I didn't think you wanted it down the stretch, man. You did a great job.
I appreciate it. Yeah, man, definitely. That was one of those things where just trying to attack areas of weakness, or what I perceive as areas that at least aren't as strong, because I grew up wrestling and kind of went right into more jiu-jitsu after that, in areas where I was pretty comfortable. So taking a straight kickboxing fight was a little out of my comfort zone. But yeah, I just knew I needed to attack it, especially if I want to, go professional MMA. You can't really have too many gaps, man. So I figured, why not? And a super game opponent. The kid was tough as hell. And I found out after the fight, he was like 18 or 19. Like, he's like legit like a kid. And that's hands down, I think, probably the craziest fight I've been in, of just a fucking war. But yeah, that was so fun, man. That was in Lake Tahoe in Nevada. And out at a casino out there, like the Mont Bleu Casino. So just, that's been one of the most fun in terms of the fight itself. The dude's super cool, Damian Blotsky, killer fighter, and I can't wait to watch the dude when he's, he's still got years of growing to do, and he's going to be a friggin' terror out there in the kickboxing world. But Yeah, man, I was just pumped for the opportunity and as the fight itself, and then the atmosphere was so fun too, man. You get a whole big ass crowd of people betting, and everyone's all drinking, having fun at the casino, and it was pretty wild, man. Got to roll out with my buddy Terrence Saturn and Devin Fields in my corner. Um, so yeah, the Tahoe trip, that was a fun weekend, man.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And what I think is really standing out is the fact that you've kind of gone where you've needed to go to make the improvements, right? So you're from the Midwest. You got some training out in Hawaii. I know you faced a bunch of Hawaiian opponents along the way when you were coming up on the regional scene there. You've even faced another one of the Cooper family. I saw in the record as well. So man, these guys are all over the place. There's a lot of them. It's a fighting family. So it's something that I think, it's only could be a benefit to your game to get all these different looks. One thing I felt personally coming from New York to Ohio was just this different style of wrestling, and the intensity was a little bit different. A lot of the wrestlers in New York were a little bit more of that funk style, a little bit more finesse. And I got to Ohio and it was a lot more, beat your head into the ground, grind nose style. And I think that, we got to expose ourselves to all these different styles. So is that something that you felt along the way? It's like, you got a little bit of different looks. I'm sure the sparring in Hawaii is something a little different.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. You nailed it on the head, man. Definitely. I think every region has their thing, So like you already said, man, the Midwest and the East Coast. So like obviously, Ohio, Iowa, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey. Everyone knows that's where you wrestle. You know what I mean? And then it's just what you do out there. And then you go to Hawaii, and those, in my opinion, I think those are the best strikers in the world, man. Because you'll watch amateur kickboxing fights and and it'll be someone that's been training kickboxing since they were like 4, and that's just like normal. Like you come across like most people out there, and someone has a background in something. It's just kind of like what they do, man. So I think Hawaii's got like the best strikers on the planet, in my opinion. And then yeah, now out in California, I would say the MMA scene in general is pretty big in California. Like a whole bunch of promotions, and obviously California itself is fucking huge. So all kinds of promotions, real good, lots of good rolling places, lots of jiu-jitsu is real big in California. But yeah, man, yeah, like you said, you nailed it on the head already. Definitely, I've been very fortunate with my path in terms of like my growth as a fighter, because the base that I would take 10 times out of 10 for MMA is wrestling. In my opinion, every single time I'm going to take wrestling. So I'm happy I grew up in the Midwest. And then the other things that are super necessary, I think I went to good spots as well. I think, I think the best place to learn how to strike is getting beat up by a bunch of Hawaiian dudes. And then vice versa, going to California and getting a more well-rounded look. But yeah, man, just like you said, definitely it's been nice I've been very fortunate to hop around different regions with a million different partners that all, kick my butt in different ways, and just trying to pick all their brains and be a sponge.
Absolutely, man. And that's exactly who I've known you to be. Always learning, always giving back and teaching to others as well. So, man, just absolutely thrilled to hear that you've been getting the best of the training out there. Want to mention to all the people in the chat as well. If you guys have questions for Blake, please go ahead and throw them in the chat. I'd be happy to convey them his way as well. But what I also wanted to ask you about, my man, is that last fight. You get out there and you're getting the hands to work as well. I think that you've shown growth over the course of your fights. I've definitely seen that in terms of the stand up, in terms of the comfortability, in terms of the confidence. Man, you're coming after people and taking initiative, which is something I think fighters work their way into. And over the course of you getting out there, you've always been persistent with the takedowns. And what I'm seeing now is that you have that same persistence on the feet. Man, you've done a great job in terms of the progression. But did you notice on that knockout that you got that the gentleman was out when you went for the takedown? You had hit him and you were already so fast on the double. I don't even know if you realized that my man was sleeping.
I didn't, man. It was kind of all just happened at once, and it's funny, man. It was just one of those ones where just that split second, his hands just dropped a little bit. And that's kind of one of the beauties of MMA, right? Like that type of knockout is never going to happen in a boxing match when, if we're only punching each other, his defense is going to stay way tighter. Whereas, when you open the threat of takedowns or maybe throw a little inside leg kick or something just to get his brain and eyes going elsewhere, and it was just kind of just hit on the right spot. It's just one of those ones that can happen to anybody, because it's not like I'm normally some like one punch knockout kind of guy, but it just kind of hit on the right spot, and then it made that double a lot easier. I was like, man, I never finished doubles like that easy. Like, oh, wonder why.
Dude, I'll tell you what, though. I think it shows great finishing instincts because you went right from strike to takedown, right back to the ground and pound. And, I think the referee had to make you aware that the gentleman was out because you were focused and you were doing the job. And I thought it was impressive work. But I also think that it's something that you can continue to build on, man. That kind of killer instinct is something that a lot of people have to work to develop and to have it, before you're even making your professional debut. I just think it speaks to that progression and also speaks to the fact that now you've had 8 amateur fights. You've had this experience in kickboxing as well. So you've gotten all this competition under your belt, whether that's collegiate wrestling, whether that's some of these striking matches, whether that's this amateur fighting. So I don't think that it's going to be anything new for you to get out there and compete in the professionals. It's going to be another competition, and you spent your whole life competing, man. I'm so freaking excited.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it's just I'm very, very excited. And as you know, as a, combat athlete yourself, whether there's 3 people watching in a little back alley promotion or there's several thousand at the friggin' New York State wrestling tournament, you know what I mean? It's like really at the end of the day, it really doesn't feel any different to you when you're competing, because the last thing you're thinking about is how many people are watching. You're kind of just focused on what you're doing, So, like I said, more than anybody that whether it's a match in your gym or a huge stage, it's at the end of the day, it's just another fight, So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And you know something, man? I think part of the connection that we have as well is like we are both gravitate towards the wrestling, and then also we love that jujitsu. We like to look for those finishes. We like to be opportunistic, and I think part of the benefit that wrestlers can bring to MMA when we start learning jujitsu is, man, we become lethal with these moves. We don't think about, using the jujitsu in the finesse ways sometimes that pure jujitsu players do. We think about what's effective. I like that you get to these body locks, return people to the ground, and you're looking right for that choke because whether or not you get the choke finish right there, it's going to put them under tremendous threat. It's going to make them make bad decisions, and it's going to force them to panic. And I think that it's a great thing that I've seen. How have you feel like jiu-jitsu has impacted your game, and how do you think you put it to use in your fights? A lot of your finishes have been of the submission variety.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. That's a good question too, because I think you worded it well, that it's one of those things too where in MMA, I think it's way easier to finish MMA fights by submission than in like grappling tournaments, because in MMA, there's so many different things that you don't even realize how sloppy you get and stuff. Like, if the threat of punches are coming in, that panic sets in when you want to bridge and get out. And then next thing you know, you're extending your neck, something you would never do, otherwise, because you're a way better grappler than that, But in that moment, you kind of have that lapse of judgment where you're like, all right, the immediate threat right here is getting punched, so I need to bridge out. And then you give up an easy darce or an easy guillotine or something that, they might be light years ahead on in their or light years ahead of in their grappling knowledge. But and kind of the same thing goes with knockouts. Someone could be an amazing boxer, but you throw in just the threat of a takedown, and all of a sudden they're sticking their head in the air and leaving their jaw wide open. And but yeah, I would say jiu-jitsu has helped me a ton, because it's just the perfect, like you said, the finishing aspect of a fight. The wrestling is like the glue that holds everything together and that base foundation, but that like just finish, that going in for the choke, diving in for whatever, arm bar or whatever. It's like just a beautiful way to complement an awesome takedown or a body lock or something, we were never allowed to do in wrestling. And now you just get to take it that one step further. But, like wrestle jitsu, it is jujitsu and it is wrestling, but it's really, really not either if you're combining them, it's kind of like becomes its own beautiful thing of violence,
Man, I was describing it to somebody in the gym last night, and I was saying, you want to get your opponent to think that we're wrestling, and then you start doing jujitsu to them, and you go for the choke, and you get them panicked. But if they think, all right, let's start doing jujitsu. All right, now we're wrestling again. Now I'll take you down like that. Now I'll go back to advancing positions like that. And
Yeah.
I think that kind of frustration you can cause for somebody when you continue to wrestle them when they don't want to wrestle. It's really annoying, and I think that's why we see it's such a foundational skill for MMA. I think you really were astute in that observation that it's a fantastic base, because if you can't decide to not get taken down, or if you can't decide to go for the takedown, then you're stuck in whatever phase they put you in. And that's not really a good place to be, where you want to be able to decide, which phase of the fight that you put it in. And I think your wrestling's allowed you to do that. And one of the other things I want to point out is sometimes you look at somebody who could do jujitsu and, maybe they can do it from the top position. Maybe they're a good top player, but they really just don't have anything when the fight goes to the ground and they're on their back, they fall apart. What I was impressed by as well is you had a couple fights where you're on top, you were hunting submissions, you were able to get them. That's great. But then I saw you get taken down. You were in the full guard and you were able to pull off a submission from your back as well. So could you talk to me a little bit about the difference of some of those guard submissions? Did you have to spend some time, devoted to, I'm just going to play on my back, even if it's uncomfortable? Or is it something that you gravitated to a little more naturally?
Yeah, of course, man. So I think one of those things in training and to be completely honest, I do have a wrestling background and everything, but it's not like there's not a million people in the world that would not out wrestle me. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like I was God's gift to man in wrestling. There's the internet exists. If you Google my college record, it's not good, but I have that background, and you just kind of have to know how to melt the things together. I'm a decent wrestler. I'm decent at jiu-jitsu. I'm a decent striker, but it's really more about how you can melt them all together, because you look at my, if you were to watch me in straight boxing practice, you'd be like, oh, or straight jiu-jitsu practice, be like, eh, or you see me in a college wrestling room, you're like, it's just, but melting them together just kind of works in my brain, just kind of the transitions from one another and knowing what to use against who, if a dude's a better wrestler than me and he's ragdolling me around, as soon as I start to threaten chokes and everything, he might not be such a good wrestler. He might kind of be a little more timid on his shots if I'm sinking in a darce or switching to an anaconda, or just throwing out those things that make him second guess, diving his head in, or vice versa. If a dude's a better jiu-jitsu guy than me, but I know I can out wrestle him, he's real good off his back, but if he goes against a guy that's just glued to his hips and is that, that annoying ass wrestler that's just peppering him with shots, so just knowing what to use when against who. And I think the biggest thing is just kind of melting everything together and making it one, trying to be as seamless as possible. So it's not like you said, where we're wrestling, now we're grappling, now we're boxing, it's kind of melting everything together that makes people not as good at things that they're good at, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, man. I follow what you're saying. I think that's impressive, man. And what stands out is, sometimes people think about the game in ways that are too rigid. They think about like, oh, I just got to go to wrestling practice. It's like, well, do you want to get better at wrestling or do you want to get better at fighting? And I think sometimes you see that manifest in people's surprise at a decision. They'll take the guy down 3 times, but they don't do anything with it. They don't actually try and fight him. They don't hit him or hurt him or do anything like that. And I think that you have done a great job of mixing together the grappling pressure, putting, together some takedown attempts, but you're also peppering people with shots and you're dirty boxing them and you're throwing knees and you're really making people work in every position. And I would describe you as a pressure fighter. If somebody was to ask me, what do you have to deal with when you're fighting Blake Perry? I'd be like, man, this guy's going to come at you with everything. And he's got a lot of pressure and a lot of cardio, and he can keep coming at you. How would you describe yourself as a fighter? What would you say if somebody had never seen you fight before and you had to describe it?
Yeah, man, I would say definitely probably like you said, man, like a pace volume kind of guy. Because I'm fucking 6'3", 170 pounds. So a big shocker that I'm not, crazy explosive and strong. But, I have a good gas tank usually for the most part. And just try and use my long, skinny limbs, that I was given them. So why not get good at the long jabs and crosses and long boxing, and then, skinny guy submissions, the long darces and that kind of stuff, triangles, all that good stuff. So I would say, yeah, if I had to describe my fight style to someone who's never seen me, I would say I'm a volume and pace guy for sure.
I love it, man. I love it. I think that's a great way to describe it too. So volume, pressure, and pace. That's the Blake Perry way. Want to acknowledge some people in the chat. We got a bunch of people in here. Bailey says, "What up, Liam? Appreciate you for being here, Bailey. What up?" Moy says, "Howdy to the boys. Appreciate you, Moyes. How you doing?
What's up, man?
Constantly in the stream. Gareth, how you doing? Love you too, brother. Lexi says hello. Happy streaming. Hello to Blake as well. Thank you very much, Lexi. And my man Locker Room says, Blake, for recovery, do you medicate on weed? It's legal now.
Dude, I would love to. However, unfortunately, I get drug tested for my job. Otherwise, I would gladly medicate. And I was no stranger to it before, but unfortunately now I get tested. But yeah, it's actually me and the host, I believe, had probably medicated a few times back in the day. But
cheers to that, brother. Cheers to that.
But no, unfortunately, I can't with drug testing.
And this is why we call him the greatest living American, folks. Playing by the rules, working hard and playing by the rules. The
Yeah,
Blake
right.
Perry way. We also got my man David says, David from California, big fan of Blake. Thank you for your service and appreciate that comment big time from our man David. Blake, there was something else, my man. I've got a Blake Perry fight T-shirt on its way in the mail. My brother, can you tell the people where can they get a Blake Perry fight T-shirt if they want to support you?
Oh, nice. Yeah. So if you go to the Nobody MMA Instagram, there's posts there that'll hook you up with all the payment details and whatnot. And yeah, it's just Nobody MMA, all one word, and you'll see posts with my ugly mug on it, and they'll have direct, the PayPal, Venmo, however you want to pay. And he'll get you hooked up from there, or myself. I'll send it out however we need to.
Awesome, my brother. I appreciate that big time, and I'm sure that there's going to be a couple people looking to get involved. In addition, right? I just wanted to ask you, could you tell the people who are you fighting? What's the story? What's the card? Set the scene. When are you fighting? Round what time? Just if people want to tune in and watch you fight, what's the story?
Yeah, man. So I'm fighting Bellator 278 in the most beautiful place in the world, man. Honolulu, Hawaii. Awesome crowd, awesome fans. Great, best place to fight, in my opinion, in the world. Fucking, I love Ohio, I love California, love it all, but Hawaii is the spot, man. I love it out there. So yeah, Bellator 278, April 22nd. If I'm not mistaken, I think I'm the very first prelim. I think I'm opening the card. So yeah, Friday, April 22nd at 3 p.m. Hawaii time, which will be like 6 p.m. California and would be 9 p.m. Ohio. So
Sweet.
yeah,
Well,
man.
I'm going to put out all that information for the people as well so they can make sure that they tune in. But just wanted to give you a chance to plug it as well and let the people know also where they can find you individually, my man. I know that your Instagram is one great place to find you. Anything that you have to promote, anything that you want to tell the people about, I'd love to give you that platform, my brother.
Thank you. Yeah, man, that's kind of the spot for me is Instagram. Other than that, I'm not real prevalent on social media, but I do have Instagram. Just again, one word, Blake MMA 170. Feel free to hit me up. Shoot me a follow. I got you back. But yeah, man, Instagram is where I usually post all the fight info, anything in my world of fighting. It's pretty much where it goes up at, man. And if I can give a quick shout out to my team at Nobody MMA out in Sassoon City, California, because I'm with those guys every day, man. They're all helping me, and they're all awesome. So, and a big shout out to you too, man. So, honestly, not just as a friend, but objectively watching your show, it's awesome, man. You clearly do a ton of research, and I like to watch myself. And aside being, good friends for a long time, I love watching what you're doing, and both on the mic and watching yourself kick some ass, dude. I love the breakdowns, and I would love to get out to New York and pick your brain, man, for real.
Absolutely, my brother. The pleasure would be all mine. I have been spending too much time watching this fight footage to not bring it to bear on the mats, and I've been having a great time doing the jiu-jitsu. But obviously, I don't have that 6'3" frame and everything. I don't have them long limbs, so I've been trying to keep my head safe by staying on these grappling scenes. But man, I got to get in there for one of these fights and see what it's like. But boy, oh boy, man, this was a great conversation. I think the people are going to have learned a lot from this. And I think that, the people are going to get to know you, and everybody that's ever met you that I've ever been around has been a fan of you like I am. So, dude, I just want to get you out there to as many people as possible. Think you're destined for bigger and better things, man. And this is just the beginning. So great opportunity for you here. And I'm so freaking excited, man. I'm fired up, and there'll be plenty of promotion on the Liam Picks Fights channels for this fight coming up.
Dude, that means the world, man. Honestly, all of that. I appreciate it a ton, and the feeling's very mutual, man. So, yeah, I'm super pumped and thankful for the opportunity, and I couldn't be happier, man. So definitely, it's kind of crazy how it all just kind of came, man, and went from fighting in little hotel ballrooms to this. So it's pretty awesome, man. So extremely thankful and pumped, thankful for my opponent and thankful for everybody, man. So again, appreciate you for everything you do. So I'm a fan also.
My man, you get what you earn in this life. You have earned it the hard way, putting in the work day by day. Couldn't happen to a better guy. I'm fired up for you, and I'm excited to see your success, brother. Let's get this. You're going to have a great fight.
Thank you.
Big blessings, my man. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for your time.
Hey, you as well, man. Peace.
Thank you, buddy. Peace. Guys, Blake freaking Perry. Am I wrong? What a freaking guy. Very happy that we could get him on the show today. Very thankful that we got some people in here dropping questions for my man Blake. Truly appreciate you guys for the support. Truly appreciate everybody popping in with questions. My man Mr. X says, I think Bellator made a mistake giving Makoa Cooper this dude. Blake seems a lot tougher than Makoa's last opponent. Bellator should have taken a concession stand worker and thrown him in there against Makoa. I agree. They signed up for too much too fast. My man Blake Perry's coming with the hammer. And I'll say this, one way or the other, this is my man for life. This man has been putting in the hard work. I've seen it firsthand. And, it's not easy to wrestle in college for a day, for a minute. This guy put in all the years and kept getting better day by day. And all that hard work has shown in his fights. It's like, this is a guy who continues to overachieve in everything in life. And I just couldn't be happier for him. So God bless my man, Blake Perry. Let's go team Blake Perry. Guys, find all his information. Go find him on Instagram as well. I'm bringing it up right now. Blake Perry, Blake MMA 170. That's what you want to look up right now on Instagram. Go find my man. Don't sleep. Don't do it tomorrow. Go look him up right now and even thank him for coming on, because first interview we ever got on the channel. So it's a huge blessing to have him on here. It's a huge blessing to anticipate this fight. And I hope you guys all enjoyed. I'll be back very shortly to do my show, breaking down some of these upcoming fights on this week's Bellator, on this week's UFC. So stay tuned for all that. Get subscribed to the channel if you're not already. Go ahead and throw a like on this video if you did not already. And then go ahead, and if you haven't, check out my sponsor, PRIZEPICKS. They sponsor everything I do. They are the simplest game in daily fantasy. I gave you guys a free one on Twitter. If you guys aren't following me, you're sleeping. I gave you a Valdi over on strikeouts. That came through for us easy. And it was with the free Embiid prop. So going to make some money on that when Embiid scores one basket. And I hope that you guys took advantage. If you didn't, hop on next time, and I'd appreciate it if you did. And I can't wait for it. So God bless you all. Enjoy these fights. Until next time, thanks to my man, Blake Perry. Thanks to all you guys for being here. Come back next week. We're going to have all the same fun again. Be well, everybody. Take care.